Hey, here I am, year and a half later, still just as uncomfortable in front of the camera as what was, but it's, this is being filmed on May 7th, so the day before Esoteria comes out, and this is going to be just kind of an off-the-cuff thing. I remember, a year and a half ago when I released my video that was kind of introducing myself as a solo artist from DISRUPTR, leaving Parcel Tongue and everything like that. That I said I wanted to kind of timestamp that part by making a video that was kind of introducing myself. And I didn't know really until about a couple days ago that there was another video I wanted to make that was kind of similar in that vein, but this one being a lot more sentimental. Before I get into the main topic here, I want to kind of say a few things about the experience of creating this album, and I'll try to be brief. But when I posted that, I said like, oh, I've really learned a lot about producing music and myself and my limits and expanding my skills and learning how to do vocals and things of that nature. I was way off base when I thought that I was done learning. Not long after I posted that video, I actually moved from Alabama to Texas, and I absolutely love living in Texas. But with that came far more work on Esoteria than what I realized. I had a long way to go. I had takes I needed to redo. I had songs that I wasn't done with. I had songs that I added. I had songs that needed to be completely rebuilt from the ground up. On top of the ins and outs of things that happen behind the scenes when you're making an album, especially when you are as particular as I am and working with a producer that is welcoming of me being as particular as I am. So I really, to keep it brief on this whole section, this has been far and above the most rewarding experience of my life completely. Now, when I say that I've shared the stage with them, they say that that didn't happen, or they imply that I'm lying, and I'm not. But all of that doesn't even hold a candle to hearing Esoteria front to back for the first time and realizing like, wow, like that's me. I did it. 29 years old, and to put out as an hour, I'm looking at it right now, an hour and 32 minutes of music that all came from my brain. And for whatever it's worth, it might be the worst thing you've ever heard in your life, but for me, I'm really proud of it because I did it. It seemed an impossible feat when I had the idea. It seemed impossible when I was halfway done. But I stuck through it, and for that, whether or not you like it, I'm immensely proud. But I can only hope and pray that you enjoy it even one iota as much as what I enjoyed, as how much I enjoyed making it. So with that, moving forward, anybody who knows me well knows that I express I'm not a very emotional person, but when it comes to people listening and appreciating the things that I do artistically, I'm very, very appreciative, and I'm very sentimental regarding that. So, moving forward, the main meat and potatoes of this video is I actually want to go through a list of people that I appreciate and give you my thanks as a prereq to the release of Esoteria, which comes out tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and get started moving on down this list. But the very first person that I want to thank, Esoteria wouldn't even be possible without this person, but Chris Tate, who's my producer and close friend of 14 or 15 years now. not only an absolute killer of a producer, incredible engineer, and very, very knowledgeable engineer, but a tremendous friend that I have many memories with, but not enough. I wish I had many more. Um, but a very good friend of mine that I love immensely. I think he's a great guy, and I truly cannot think of another producer that I would ever feel comfortable working with. So for that, Chris, thank you very, very much, and I look forward to seeing you in October. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. Moving on, Dustin Swank, uh, probably tied for first place, my favorite person from Tennessee. Um, we never hung out in person. I know this. I've seen your band live, and your band is very good. And I've told you this a lot of times that I think your band is one of the best hardcore bands I've ever heard. Shout out, Do Yourself In. But far and above one of the biggest supporters of me I've ever had. I remember when I moved from Tennessee and Parcel Tongue broke up, he said, "Goodbye to Knoxville's Riffmaster." And I've been riding that high forever because he's the Riffmaster, not me. I've got nothing to do with that. That is Dustin all day. And if it's not him, it's Alex Wade from Whitechapel, but I'll let them duke that out. But Dustin, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of your positivity and support over the last years. I mean, shit, it's been like 3 or 4 years now that you've been in my corner regardless, and you were there when things got really hairy in Knoxville, and you were awesome, man. You were an incredible person, and I really, really appreciate you. Connor McRae, we don't talk much anymore. We used to talk a little bit in the past, but you did an absolutely bonkers solo on Planet Rain, and I appreciate it so, so much. We were roster mates. I mean, I guess we still technically are, but roster mates for Siggy Braun. And I think you're a hell of a teacher. I think you're very knowledgeable. You're a tremendous guitar player, much better than me. And even if we were similar level, I think you're way faster than I could ever be. For your skill and your contribution and the few conversations that we've had, I want to say thank you very much, and I appreciate everything that you do. And I hope you get your big break in music, man. Truthfully, I think I see you post more about working on guitar than anybody I've ever seen, more than like Rick Graham or any of those guys. You're always working, and for that, once again, I appreciate you immensely. This one's a little bit more difficult for me to talk about, but it only makes sense to bring up after Connor. Mr. Siggy Braun, my good friend and former luthier who passed, a few months ago. He was a tremendous person, a very, very intelligent man, one that really understands the foundation of what it means to be an artist. And he proved that time and time again with every piece that he ever made, as well as being able to have the conversations about art with people, even if he didn't like their music or whatever the case is. He was somebody that you could come to about vision, and he could have that conversation with you. And a lot of people don't have that skill in them, but Siggy did. He was an absolute treasure to this earth, and we are worse off to not have him around anymore. So Siggy, I appreciate you, and I miss you every day. I really, really enjoyed speaking with you for the 2 years that we were friends. Zach, Drew, man, my rock, dude, my closest friend. You already know how much I appreciate you. I ain't gonna spend too much time on this, bro. You already know that I've told you before, but you're an incredible guy. You're a killer dude. Probably the smartest person I've ever met. But you make me want to challenge myself. Seeing what you've accomplished in your life, us being similar in age, it only pushes me to want to do better for myself. and for others, most notably my soon-to-be wife. So I want to thank you very much for not only your friendship, but a lot of your guidance. I think you're an incredible person, and I thank you very much for being my friend for these years. That brings me on to Greg Miller. Greg Miller, if you ever want to get like completely humbled in your skill as a musician or even your musical knowledge, I've got the guy for you. Greg Miller is an absolute anomaly when it comes to playing the guitar more than anything, but even just being a musician, an absolute freak of nature. But Greg Miller not only was one of the best guitar players I've ever seen or just even know of, but has become a very close friend of mine over the last few years. We have tremendously deep discussions about life and, relationships and parenting and everything in between. We have these discussions, and there's few people I feel in this life that you can really sit down and just off the cuff say whatever you want and have somebody go, you know what, let's dig into that and let's have a conversation about that. But Greg is one of those people, and I appreciate you so much. And if you want to hear his work, he does the solo in the third track, Civilify, and the 17th or 18th track, The Heart Collector, which is a Nevermore cover. Fun fact, my producer said, damn, he did that solo in Heart Collector better than Jeff Loomis did. I tell Greg this as if, thinking like, wow, what a great compliment that he's going to be excited to hear. He responds like he already knew that was the case. So if we could all aspire to have the confidence in ourselves that Greg has, but not only just that, the skill to back it up, boy, would we be much better off. Gage Way is up next. We don't talk as much as what we used to, but a tremendous guitar player, a hell of a songwriter, never puts out his music even though he should. An IT guru. He helped and assisted me through college and was a great help. And he also co-wrote the heaviest song on the album, The Fragile Serpent. He helped with the ending slam, and it's, if you ever hear it and you're like, dang, that is ridiculously heavy. That's like the heaviest thing Joseph's ever written. Not so. Gageway assisted. Gageway led the charge on that whole portion. And you're a tremendous dude. I've always thought you were a good guy. I hope one day we can hang out in person and shoot the shit, man. That brings me to Nick Miller. Not related to Greg, although in skill probably. The guitarist of one of my favorite bands of all time, which is First Fragment. Nick is an absolute machine on guitar. Giving Canadians a good reputation as always, because he's also extremely friendly. Nick Miller, you are the shit. Thank you so much for helping me with Esoteria. And if you want to hear his solo, he has a just perfect solo at the end of Hellfire Upon Us. Absolutely bonkers solo, if you will. That takes me on to Rich Catalano. I have spoken about Rich. I've posted about Rich. I'm going to say it again. What an absolute dream come true to work with Rich, man. He was the lead guitarist, songwriter for my favorite band of all time growing up, Float Face Down. I approached him, and not only did he say, yes, I'd be glad to do a solo, he remembered me from when I was a child, seeing them all those years ago at the 7 venue in Douglasville, Georgia. What a throwback. But I approached him. To put it in perspective, a lot of people have guitar heroes that say that they're, it'd be like, Steve Vai, or I guess now it's like people like Tim Henson or Tosin Abasi or whatever. That was my guy. Him and Alexi Laiho. Those were my guys. And, man, when he sent me his solo, I was overwhelmed with emotion. I couldn't believe it. I'm sure he gets annoyed hearing this and might even make him uncomfortable, but I don't care. I have enough humility to say, hey, I got a little bit emotional when you sent me that. His solo is the ending solo in the song Esoteria. and absolutely one of the best solos I've ever heard. Rich, thank you so much, man. You are a massive inspiration, and I truthfully can say with beyond a shadow of a doubt that this album would not exist if it wasn't for what you did with Flow Face Down. So thank you very much. That brings me on to Corey Borger, my old bandmate. He was the vocalist of Parcel Tongue, two-piece band. I wrote all the instruments. He did all the vocals, and he was just a weapon on the microphone, and a hell of a lyricist too. Very, very, very talented lyricist. Corey, I miss you to death. I know we don't talk anymore, but you helped me tremendously through a lot of stuff, probably more than you may even realize. And I know much the same. I did that for you. But I love you to death, man. You will always be a brother to me. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate you. So thank you very much. That brings me on to Monty. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you, man. I've never ever known how to say your last name. So I'm not even going to try. But you'll know who you are because you're the only person I know named Monty. But Monty... oh, real quick, if you want to hear Corey's vocals, he helped me with the end of To Lift the Veil. Thank you. I almost forgot. Monty, I know we've never hung out. Maybe we've been to a show that we were both at, but I know that we've never spoken. But I do know this. You have always been a huge supporter of anything that I do musically, and we barely speak. But anytime I post anything, if I have a share and it pops up that says, like, you know, somebody shared this link or this link's been shared or whatever the case is, I already know who it is. It's Monty. Monty shared my stuff. And that's because Monty is a real one. All right. He's the realest of them all. Monty, thank you very much for your support, not only with Parcel Tongue, but with DISRUPTR, and a true Knoxville native. There's a certain breed that comes out of that strange town. And multiple of them are on this list. There is no coincidence there. That brings me on to Mugi Praitno. I'm assuming that I got the name correct. But Mugi is my artist. He does my art for me. He did No Purpose. He did, obviously, Esoteria. He made my logo. He did the fonts. And he's just a killer dude. Super positive. One of the most positive people I've ever seen. And not only that, he appears to be a hell of an athlete. He runs more per day than I run per lifetime. So Mugi, you're awesome. You're always hyping up my music and always like, dude, great riff and all that stuff. And I can't thank you enough, man. I think you're a killer dude. I hope one day, you know, DISRUPTR has some level of success and I end up in your country. I'll bring you up on stage. That won't happen. That brings me to Gabriel Salvatore, which would be my actual real-life brother, assisted me with the production of The Fabulous 2.0, which is a revisited song that I wrote when I was 14 years old. And if you do the math on that, that was 30 years ago. I look great. Gabriel, I'm not going to say much. I'm not, thank you very much. You helped a ton with really what has become one of my favorite interludes that I've ever written. This was a reworking of an arrangement that he wrote for his school band based off of this song. We kind of combined them and turned it into like a trap interlude, and it was actually quite cool. So The Fabulous 2.0, that's me and my brother. We co-wrote that. Thank you very much, Gabriel. I appreciate it. That brings me on to Travis Tutwiler. We've only got a few more. Hang on here. Travis Tutwiler. I met this man with Corey Borger at the Chimera reunion show in May of 23 or 2 or possibly 21. I am really bad with dates. Travis is one of the realest. Like when you think of metalhead, a lot of people kind of cringe at that word. This is like the guy. He knows the history, he knows the bands, he knows the members, and he's got the proof all along the way that he knows all these people personally. But not only that, he has been a supporter of everything I have done from the moment that he met me, and Corey, with Parcel Tongue all the way through DISRUPTR and everything. And he's always there. Every day he posts my workout, my daily cardio jams or daily cleaning the yard jams. And usually I'm on there somewhere. And what an honor it is, because Travis is a hell of a guy. So thank you very much, Travis. I appreciate it. That brings me on to Alex Washburn. Alex was the assistant manager at the Guitar Center that was local to me when I lived in Alabama. I remember hearing him play, just like kind of diddle around once when I walked into Guitar Center, and I realized this dude knows his way around a guitar like really well. You know, a lot of people, they can kind of, you know, they can play something that they rehearsed or they learned or whatever, but it was like, there's few people a lot of times where you can sit. Blues players are real good at this, if you ever, or jazz players, and another good one, where it's like somebody who understands the instrument fundamentally, where it's like, yeah, they're not good at playing the riffs they know, they're just good at the guitar. Like, they can just play anything and it will sound right. Him and Greg, two examples of that. They're just killer guitar players. We never got to hang out very much, but he put down a just unbelievable solo on To Lift the Veil, on top of like a reggae section that I wrote. I don't know. Alex, thank you very much for all of your help. You are also huge gear nerd. I thought I was a gear nerd until I got around this guy, and I was like, I've got way more to learn. This guy's like a genius. So Alex, thank you very much. And that brings me on to last but not least, probably the most important person on this list, but that would be Victoria Valdez, soon to take my last name, but my fiance. And much of what I could say would really just remain between us, but there's not enough words and certainly not enough time for me to express what all this woman has done for me, and both personally, you know, musically and professionally and academically. This is a woman that I mean, I really can't express how much she has pushed me to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be. This album, there's a lot of times where I truly had no desire, or I lost all faith in myself as a musician and was like, you know what, I'm just not even going to do it. Like, Chris can keep the money I paid, and I'm just not even going to bother. And she pushed me through that. So, just to name a little bit, there's a lot more history that goes into that, but I can just end that section there by saying that I love you to death, and I'm very excited to call you my wife. Ending things out here is basically, I just want to say thanks once again. I know I'm not like a big artist. I'm hardly, you know, noticeable, really. But I worked so hard on this. This is 3 years in the making. Countless hours in Reaper, and countless hours on YouTube researching this and these, you know, these scales and how does this work, and researching production techniques and what microphone and how do I set up my DAW and everything. And it's like, I've always known these things to a degree, but really locking in and learning it at a fundamental, granular level was something I never did. And when you're sitting there in a studio, well, what could be a studio, with all of the equipment that you would need to record, but none of the knowledge, and there's not anybody I can turn to help. It's not like Chris is sitting next to me, or it's not like Corey's here, or it's not like I got Greg or Connor or anybody. You know, I'm here by myself. So I have one of two options. I can not know what to do and just do nothing, or I can hunker down and learn, even though it seems like an impossible task. And that's what I did. I hunkered down and I learned. And it was the most rewarding thing, once again, that I've ever done. So I'll end up ranting forever, but I think I'll just end it there, to be honest. Esoteria, I think, regardless of what happens with DISRUPTR moving forward, and regardless of anything that I release in the future, this will stand as the proudest I've ever been of anything that I've released. I can't imagine that there's anything I would do that would be more more significant to me than, you know, not only was it a solo release, it wasn't a solo EP, it wasn't a solo album. I said, you know what, I'm going to release this ridiculously long double album that everybody's like, why would you do that? Why would you make it this long? Why would you want to post something that long? And the reason is because I can. I'm not trying to prove nothing. I know nobody's going to sit down and listen to this thing for an hour and a half. I get it. I just want to be able to say that I did that. And I did. Hopefully you guys enjoy it along the way. But anyway, I'm Joseph. I am also DISRUPTR. And I thank you guys very much if you've made it to the end of this video. And I hope that you enjoy Esoteria and the 3 years of work that I put into it. I think it's pretty good, but I'm also a little bit biased. All right. I'm a dip before I say too much. Bye.